Pizza Tower is one of the coolest platformers I've ever played in my life. It recontextualized what it means to make a good fast-paced platformer, and it's also really charming. It was one of the biggest highlights of Stage 2019, although most people probably discovered this game through Vinesauce. One of the levels present in the Stage 2019 demo is the Ancient Cheese. It certainly is a level. Some people love this level, some people hate it. I think it's a perfect example of a whatever level. It's not really good or bad, but it doesn't really stand out much from the others. From a speedrunning perspective, not much changes. Some people hate some of the hard strategies that need to be adopted to rush through some rooms, but overall, most people still dislike Blood Sauce Dungeon, the third level, more. But in this level, there is one strategy that is so hard, so unviable, and so despised that no speedrunner has ever done it in a full run ever before. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of the Ancient Cheese Skip. Let's go back to April 10th, 2020. Most of the Pizza Tower speedrunning conversations happened in the speedrunning chat in the official Pizza Tower Discord server at the time. Nowadays, these conversations often take place in the Pizza Tower speedrunning server, since some of the top speedrunners left the official server. In that day, the conversation began with some people. In that day, the conversation began with people complaining about the game having small stuns when the player hit too many objects at the same time. Ironic to think some of those people would start defending this aspect when it was made intentionally worse. Very quickly, the conversation would change towards Blood Sauce Dungeon, more specifically the third room of the level. That's when Handyboy, a former world record speedrunner, discovered something entirely by accident. He managed to turn around almost instantly after taunting. Thanks to the input display, we know that he pressed left and taunt in the same frame. Some people wondered if it was really frame perfect, and nowadays, we know it is. By the way, random JoJo reference called Redditors. Later in the same day, Handyboy posted 2 videos showing that the frame perfect taunt could also be used to end a grab sooner. The results, however, were noticeably inconsistent. That's when XBC30EP450, mostly known as XBC, comes into play. At the time, he was the world record holder of nearly all Pizza Tower categories, with the exception of any %, a category he never speedran. He had an idea of where this trick could be used, but he had to end his Risk of Rain 2 run before he could test it. After he ended his run though, he went on his way to test his idea, and for the displeasure of everyone to this day, it worked. The room the idea was referred to was the last room in the Ancient Cheese. When you get to this room, you're supposed to grab a bomb and use it to destroy this block. After the bomb exploded the block, you would enter an exploded state, which would stun you for long enough so the cheese blocks would disappear and make you fall through this hole. After you fall down, there is no way to climb back up, so all you can do is go down the pizza box towards the next room. However, if you could theoretically climb the wall, you would be able to skip that room entirely. That's where the shortened grab comes into play. XBC theorized that you could use this trick to start a Mach 2 dash on the spot, which would allow you to climb the wall. And it actually worked! Climbing out of the hole was officially possible, and that's how the Ancient Cheese Skip, or ACS for short, was discovered. XBC also stated that whether the trick worked or not, it almost felt random. Keep that in mind for later. Anyways, months passed and nobody seemed to understand how this trick worked. More discussion of the trick can be found in June 14th. A deleted user, which I'm almost sure used to be called Spiral, posted a video where he tried to do the short and grab trick. He pointed out that 2 attempts had different grab lengths despite having the same input. Fast forward to June 23rd, a new discovery was found by a user called Harmonikinesis. Huh, weird. Never heard of that guy before. So here's the point where I can give some insight of what was happening in my life during that time. Back then, my biggest accomplishment was to beat Depardieu Haynes' record on Dragon Lair with a 1 minute and 34 second speedrun. Around that time period, my laptop's motherboard melted for no apparent reason and I had to save money until I could buy a new computer, which would only happen 2 months later in the beginning of August. Before that happened, all I had was my dad's crappy laptop. I tried to use that to at least practice speedrunning, but there was only one problem. Somebody wanna play Slow Tower? But then, I had the idea of taking advantage of the slower gameplay to do some ACS attempts. At first, my attempts didn't really result in any good discoveries. I made several theories about how the trick worked, which all turned out to be wrong. But then, I discovered something.
I cracked the code. It's not frame perfect. It's RNG based.
How so?
It only works in one specific taunt pose.
You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, turns out that the trick only worked if you got one specific pose. XBC even went back to the first video he made about the trick 2 months ago, and the taunt pose he got was the exact same. If you played Pizza Tower before, you probably know that the pose you get when you press the taunt button is always random. So not only is the trick frame perfect, but also RNG based. From that point, you probably already understand why this is the most hated speedrunning trick in Pizza Tower. But why does this trick work in the first place? Well, to talk about that, we need to talk about a certain individual. This person is already very notorious in the Pizza Tower community, but if you're not aware of the controversy, that's what he did in summary. He leaked Patreon-exclusive Pizza Tower content, harassed people, hacked people, doxed people, and then tried to deny all of it for months. Despite his contribution to our knowledge about the game, nobody should stay near him. Avoid loypoll as much as possible. With that in mind, let's advance to July 17th, 2020, after Certif, one of Pizza Tower's programmers, got hacked. It seems that nobody knew loypoll was involved in the hack at the time. Several topics related to ACS took place that day, but things started to truly get interesting when a top Pizza Tower speedrunner, Mr. L, pings loypoll for help. As you can see, the account is deleted, but it's not hard to confirm that was him. He first debunked a speculation I had. I speculated that taunting changed your collision box in a specific way depending on which taunt you got. I was wrong, the collision never changes. And then, after looking into the RNG involved in the taunt code, he discovers how the trick works. This is going to be a bit hard to explain, but I'll do my best. Every animation is a group of frames, and every frame has a number depending on the order it's played. If you taunt and do any other action in the same frame, a random frame of the taunt animation is played, and the next action immediately starts in the same frame number the taunt picked. This can affect certain moves, making them end earlier, which is why that instant turnaround to that Handy Boy video was possible, and why the grab can be instantly ended. You can take advantage of this to immediately start a dash, since the grab ends as soon as it starts. If you didn't understand that explanation, let me try to explain it better. So let's say you taunt and grab in the same frame. If the taunt chooses frame number 4, the grab will start at frame number 4, making it shorter. If you make the grab short enough, you can start a dash instantly, which allows this hold to be climbed. However, only 3 frames skip enough of the grab to allow this to happen. Frame 10, 11, and 12, which gives us a chance of 3 in 12 or 25% of the trick working. At first, we thought only the last frame allowed the trick to work, But upon further experimentation, we discovered that other frames worked too. But it gets much worse. Halfway through the hole, there's 2 cheese blocks that disappear when you touch them and reappear right after. For this reason, you have to get this trick in your first try, or else the cheese blocks will block you in the bottom. And I'm still not done. The cheese blocks don't disappear both at once, but rather one at a time. This gives us enough time to climb the wall before they reappear, but you must climb the wall where the last cheese block to disappear is. If you climb the wall where the first block to disappear is, you won't have enough time to climb up. And you guessed it, no consistent way to manipulate the order the cheese block disappear is known. While I was writing the script for this video, the absolute legend Mr. L manages to find an alternative for this trick. While doing some ACS attempts, he realized that you actually get out of the explosion stun a few frames before you land. Maybe you could grab towards the floor before landing and get a Mach 2 dash just in time to climb up the hole before the cheese blocks reappeared. And then he discovered that if you perform the grab of the taunt trick, you can make the grab land on the floor, which allows you to get the Mach 2 dash inside the hole. This officially makes the ancient cheese skip possible without the need of RNG. But of course, nothing that's good in our lives comes for free. This trick is ridiculously precise, probably much more than the pole skip in Pizza's Care. You need to hug the nearest wall when you start falling, both turn around to face the wall you will climb, and taunt and grab in the same frame under a 3-frame window, and then jump under a 6-frame window. It's definitely possible, but it's ridiculously hard, and I don't believe anyone would try to do that in a full run anytime soon. As you've seen throughout this video, this trick is ridiculously hard to do. No one is crazy enough to try getting it in a full run, and that's probably not going to change anytime soon. But if someone, somehow, managed to pull this trick off, it's theorized that skipping the entirety of the last room can save a fantastic amount of 5 to 6 seconds. This time was theorized by Mr. L after experimenting with the trick and grinding the hell out of it. I found that this time could be inaccurate, so I decided to do my own tests. With the help of 2 amazing Pizza Tower modders, Mario Cat and Core, I and Mr. L managed to mod Pizza Tower so the taunt always chose the last frame, making ACS a 100% chance trick. With that, we managed to do much more consistent experiments, which led me to discover more precisely how much time the ancient cheese skip can potentially save. If you do the trick in the most optimal way possible, you can actually save a fantastic amount of 9 seconds. I mean, it's more, but still not much. How mind-blowing this time save is varies depending on which category you're talking about. In any percent, the current world record can be improved by 9 seconds, but with ACS, this time goes up to 18. In the Snick Challenge category, the world record can be improved by 5 seconds, but with ACS, this time goes up to 14. In the 100% category, actually you can't do that trick there because you need to get into that room to collect the top end and a secret soul trolled. Everything I talked about so far was entirely with the Sage 2019 demo in mind, but there are exclusive builds for people that donate $5 or more to Pizza Tower Guy's Patreon. What about those? Well, it turns out the trick is completely obsolete there. In the Western V1 build, the stun you get from the bomb got shorter, which allows you to climb up the ladders before you fall down the cheese blocks. The trick would change even further in the worst build in Pizza Tower. April 2021 build. Now there are no cheese blocks in the hole, which gives you infinite attempts at the trick. And you don't even need the shorted grab to climb up the wall, since you can now do a Mach 2 jump out of a grab, and it's not frame perfect or RNG based. Actually, you don't even need to get in the hole in the first place. You can now throw bombs, and throwing a bomb inside the hole is pretty easy. In the current build, the trick is not only easier, it's also super accessible to casual players.
Fuck! Yeah!
Okay, that's Harmon from the future. Basically, here with the ultimate speedrunner Mr. L and the ultimate Cyber Shell clone.
Retard.
Like, while I was making the video, Pizza Tower guy released another build that had a console, so now I can access the bosses. And like, that's the first time I'm entering this room. And basically, oh fuck. Dear. Yeah, basically, Ace Escape is literally impossible to do now. It's no use. It's impossible.
Gaming.
This trick was discovered, constantly studied over the course of 1.5 years, and in spite of that, was never done in a full run. Certainly a story to appreciate. If there's any lesson you can take from this video, is that the April 2021 build doesn't have mod cancel and therefore it's the worst Pizza Tower build ever. Okay, bye.